So, the spoilers are out for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 404, and let's just say that this is going to be a very interesting chapter for how Bakugo is going to be involved in this chapter, and you'll get to see how that's the case, but first, right after this. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Man Drew, and I'm here to do and cover the spoilers for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 404. And from what we see with the spoilers, this is going to be a very interesting chapter. From what we see, not a whole lot actually happens from what we see with the spoilers, but the actual chapter itself is going to end in a very, if I do say myself, magnificent moment with a fair amount of build-up, not just within the chapter, but within the series as a whole. So let's just dive into the spoilers and really get to understand what that could mean for the chapter as a whole. And to start off, the title of the chapter is revealed to be We Love You, All Might, which is going to tie a lot more into what is going on in this chapter, as the chapter begins with a flashback of Night Eye's quote, cruel death foresight as All For One holds All Might in his arms. We then see the reaction of various people around the world watching the battle and living their lives. A farmer has already given up, lots of people are cheering, and a dog boy named Martin says, "Man, I don't want All Might to die." Meryl, the US weather report lady, shows up again, and her colleagues say that her video about the butterfly effect has been posted online. Meryl is looking at the computer and says that the air current is acting weird, and a narration says that the winds blow strong. Showing those leaves that have been featured in some chapters, Bakugo looks at Deku and goes flying towards him. And this part of the chapter and the chapter spoilers is very interesting because from what we see, we're going to be getting a lot of actual double page spreads within this chapter, which includes very much a few of them at the end as well as a one at the beginning. And from what we're seeing, the first part of this chapter is going to be more or less callbacks to Night Eye's prediction, his foresight, as well as just getting to see the reactions of people around the world who are watching this fight and potentially hoping that All Might doesn't die. And that type of hoping, or should I say wishing, may be a actual tangible thing within the world of My Hero Academia from what we've seen, not only with the spoilers, but also potentially recontextualizing what we've seen within the past of the series. But even with all that, what we're actually going to be getting is more or less seeing how Bakugo is going to try and attempt to save All Might within this chapter, as he's flying not towards All Might himself, but Deku. And with the next part of the text spoilers, Deku and Bakugo hold hands and start spinning in the air, like they did in Heroes Rising. The second user warns him that using gear shift again will exhaust him even more, but Deku uses it on Bakugo anyway. All Might's vestige keeps fading away. Deku throws Bakugo, but Shigaraki's smiling. He says that Bakugo won't make it in time to save All Might. He knows that the All Might vestige inside One For All vanished and a new one appeared, a more human-like one, similar to the other users. We then see the new vestige. The death of the man who brought dreams to the world will bring the real world back, says Shigaraki, but then the winds get even stronger, and a narration begins talking about how all the people who are praying and cheering for All Might. It flashbacks to Night Eye's words about everyone's quote wishing energy changed the future, just like the flap of a butterfly's wings in Brazil can bring about a hurricane in Texas. Everyone's prayers. And this is where we get a good understanding of where potentially Horikoshi is going with how All Might is going to be saved and how it ties a little bit more into Night Eye's prediction, because we get to see that there's actually a cool combination move between Bakugo as well as Deku, and the implication that Deku is actually using gear shift on Bakugo to make him go even faster to be able to meet the location of All For One to save All Might in time. But many people do believe, especially Shigaraki, that that's actually something that is an impossibility. However, from what we're getting in the chapter, and potentially even more, is that there's an emphasis on the wishing energy, as we've seen many people praying throughout the series, as well as specifically throughout this final arc, and how this is going to be accumulation of the idea. And how this is going to be accumulation of the idea of the butterfly effect, and all of that wishing energy is going to be the reasoning why Bakugo is potentially going to make it to save All Might. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that's going to be playing out more in this chapter, as well as within the next chapter, as well as what it means for the vestiges inside One for All, and how All Might is taking on more of a physical form inside of One for All, implying his death is imminent. And tying into the final part of the text spoilers, we then see a beautiful double-page spread with all the characters watching the fight and praying as Bakugo flies through the air. He remembers the guilt he felt for being the one who ended All Might, but not this time. Bakugo explodes All for One's arms and saves All Might. The vestige goes back to looking like before, just a bunch of flames, as All Might says, "Young Bakugo." Bakugo, bleeding from his nose and mouth, shouts, "We'll win this." End of chapter. And that's something that we've probably been looking forward to. And I think that from what we've seen of this entire chapter, from the spoilers, this is probably the perfect way Bakugo could have actually been able to save All Might. Not just on his strength alone, but with a combination of his own indomitable will, as well as the help of Deku. And that is really amazing. And I want to dive a little bit more into this in the actual chapter proper when we get a better understanding of what's going on in this chapter. But from what we see with the spoilers, this seems to be very much more action oriented than dialogue, and more or less character interactions towards the end of the chapter, while we, once again, a lot of what we're getting in this chapter is pretty much just flashback recontextualization of older material reestablished within the modern series of My Hero Academia. But overall, from what we've gotten in the spoilers, this is going to be a very fantastic chapter in my own opinion, and this is going to be something that is going to be shaping the story of My Hero Academia moving forward, with most likely this being the climax to what's to come as the final battle commences. But yeah, that's all I really have to say for the spoilers for right now. So let me ask you this. What did you think of the spoilers? Did you like them? Did you dislike them? Do you think that the chapter felt a little bit shorter, or do you think that there could have been more added to it? Leave your thoughts down below, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!